The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk,
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
And I should welcome you from the Mighty Drive in the morning today, and also all our shows that we have had in the course of the week. My name is Norman Muhimbise. As always, every Wednesday, unless otherwise, we always come to Justice Kanyehamba's home for him to give us an insight of constitutionalism and good governance. And as always, today we are on to your social media handles, and we are streaming live on our Facebook page, The Alternative Uganda, and also Digitalk TV, and let alone the show will be on our YouTube channel, The Alternative Uganda. We are with Justice Kanyeihamba. Today it's quite interesting because he if it is to use the word to star, he starred Fire, the previous show, where to so many it was a bare knuckle sort of an attack to the leader of opposition, and has been trending, and for lack of another word, I should communicate that show, your commentary onto Honorable Mpuga has been viewed by over 50,000 people, with definitely different views.
Yes.
Some in support of your
my
your
view,
and others
and the men in support of Mpuga.
And men in support of Mpuga. I want you to say hello to our viewers, and then I will ask you to you allow me read Mr. Namuguzi Ntale Ludri's article on social media against you.
Good morning, viewers. Very nice to be with you once again. And I think you sent me an advance copy, and I definitely would be very happy to comment on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. To begin with, I had invited Mr. Namuguzi Ntale, but I let alone heard from him through social media also, where he said that much as he would have loved being next to you, and maybe you have this argument sorted forever, he wasn't in position because he is held and he's not around. But to begin with, I should ask you that you allow me read his article, and then it will guide our discussion today. Because following the other discussion, it seems one of your disappointments were, and in particular, you had written in your book, challenging a presidential election. And on page 15, you said, among others, the majority of the Supreme Court judges were intimidated and frightened from the clear and ambiguous terms used in Article 104.
And ambiguous?
Yes. 104 of the Constitution. However, they appear to have found comfort in the impugnant Section 59, subsection 6, paragraph A, which, as we have emphasized in the monograph, is null and void, being in a conflict of subsection 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of Section 59 of the Presidential Elections Act and Article 104 of the Constitution. That paragraph 6, paragraph A of the Section 59 continues to be an embarrassment to all the sundry and should be deleted from the laws of Uganda by 11th Parliament, whose members will be sworn in May 2021. Our viewers, the reason for which I have quoted this, it's because to Justice Kanyeihamba, he sent this guideline, for lack of another word, to Honorable Mpuga as leader of opposition.
Yes.
And you asked him that he
should
move a motion,
debate, move the motion,
which hasn't been done because now it's closed. In fact, it's a year plus ever since you have
that's
honest
right.
sent
Yes,
it.
yes.
So after you had attacked, for lack of another word, Honorable Mpuga, the present leader of opposition.
But the reminder was an attack, it was advice.
You were advising him.
But in Uganda, when you don't like something,
becomes
you
an
always
attack.
call it attack.
So to one of his
Or
diehards,
abuse.
one of his diehards, a one Namuguzi in Tale, Lud, he begins with his article as source. Kanyeihamba deadlier than COVID, AIDS, and Ebola all combined. He goes ahead to say, for starters, George W. Kanyeihamba is a retired Supreme Court judge, former cabinet minister, justice and constitutional affairs, member of parliament, but above all, a chair of legal and drafts committee of the constituency assembly that made the 1995 constitution. His committee was the mastermind of the political crisis that Uganda finds herself in today. He failed, he means you. He failed to entrench the safeguards to stop unnecessary amendments like scrapping presidential term limits and age limits to suit individual egos.
My little ego?
No. I mean those that amended the constitution. You should have safeguarded.
Yeah,
such
I get
clauses.
it. Yes, yes.
He goes ahead, and I will mention the name, rather the word as he puts it. The senile professor failed to safeguard. Senile professors failed to safeguard the two constitutional doctrines, thus having feeble law book. The fourth and current constitution, which was promulgated on 8th October 1995, sanctioned a republican form of government with a fierce president. He goes ahead to say, the short-sightedness of Justice Kanyeihamba's legal committee awarded the president with excessive powers. That is to say, the president of Uganda is the commander-in-chief, appoints the vice president, prime minister, the chief justice, ministers, permanent secretaries, judges, heads of commissions, RDCs, and above all, the sitting president can't be tried in any local court. In Kenya, the president controls 20% of the budget, and he does not appoint the central bank governor, judges and others. This is what Professor Kanyeihamba denied us and bestowed on president. In Uganda, when they appropriate money in our parliament, 80% remains in the hands of the central government. That's why there is no service delivery. Restoration of term limits and fighting corruption and demodeling the EC are opportunistic diseases. The real problem is concentrated of power in one place that the Kanyeihamba-led committee flawed. We need to deal with the constitution. This draftsman, meaning you, of the feeble Uganda law book is deadlier than AIDS, Ebola all combined. There, hence, he should lie low like an envelope. Let's begin from there. Why didn't you entrench these articles, and why did you give your friend, Mr. Museveni, not the Tibuhaurwa, your friend Museveni, such powers?
What is his name?
I'm sure he's, in fact, he's here. He's watching. He's in Muhoozi Kainerugaba. He's watching.
Muhoozi Kainerugaba. Yes. I'm not angry with you. I am not even baffled about what you have written. I really feel sorry for you being so ignorant, uneducated, and absolutely abusive for no reason at all. I am not, whether you thought your letter would affect me in any way, it's a bit amusing, actually. Let me tell you, the Constitution of Uganda, of which I say I am the only author, was made by over 500 delegates. Among them, people like Wakaburu was our chairman, professors in Zimbabwe, Father Gaetani, representing you people who are stupid and ignorant, and a host of others. And it was an amalgam of our ideas. So when President Museveni single-handedly, or with corrupt people, changes it, you don't blame me. You change the one who removed the guarantees. We had to put guarantees on all powers of government. He couldn't appoint judges without the recommendation of the Judicial Service Commission. He had to be appoint one recommended by the Judicial Commission, made of about 7 advisors. He couldn't appoint a cabinet minister. He would have to be first go through a parliamentary appointment committee. And if they recommended Kanyeihamba is a good, which they did, you appoint him. He couldn't do anything medical, appoint medical. Recently, he appointed somebody who stole money without the sanction. He appointed somebody without the sanction of the medical council. 7 of them. We put them in the constitution. We guaranteed that every power is not exercised. Mr. Ntali, I think you don't have teeth. Because really, why would you write some rubbish like that without reading even one article of the Constitution? Now let me tell you, Mr. Ntali's anger and abuse is directed at President Museveni, not at me. Because we put there every guarantee, even the one where he could exercise alone, the prerogative of mercy. We said it has to be advised by a committee chaired by the Attorney General. And when that committee says this one should be reprieved or hang him, he has no choice but to act as the committee. This man entirely, he's been eating too much buffalo that he doesn't know what the law is all about. But let us say that he's right. You are saying that all those people who were with me in CA are all stupid. They are worse than Cobra. They are worse than Ebola. Those included Museveni who we consulted, we who were NRM. Consulted him every time, he was always happy. And when the Constitution was made, he said, and his own record, this is the best Constitution Ugandans has ever made. Now you entirely, why haven't you asked Mbuga that Kanyeihamba was telling you that paragraph A of subsection 9
Subsection 6
of subsection 6
of section 59.
9 of 59 is unconstitutional. It was obtained by fraud and bribery of MPs in that parliament. And when Honorable Kategaya, Honorable Mushega, Honorable Matembe, Honorable Danjisadi refused to participate in that fraud, they were sacked. You, Mr. Antale, the toothless. Did you read that? Have you read my book, the Challenging Presidential Elections Act, where the act, the section, the provision of the Constitution, paragraph 001 says, to challenge a presidential, when you challenge a presidential election, the court must inquire. Ask Mpuga, why is he not saying is inquiring and hearing the same? So, my friend, who is worse than a cobra? Me or Mpuga, who is ignorant? Secondly, that judges will give their findings. Now they have said in 45 days. We have to put their 30. For a good reason. Judges are Ugandan citizens. So when elections are announced, when things go, they are also listening like anybody like you, Mr. Ntali. So why do you give them a long time when they know everything from beginning to end? We have to give them 30. But I have no quarrel with the current parliament giving them 45. But the longest so-called judgment we received in the 2006 petition in which I was one of the panelists is over 200 words. How can you write a Bible on a presidential election when you are going to complete it and they give you results in 30 days? It's impossible. Therefore, whoever said they were trying it, or it was a judgment, are all wrong. They are suffering from acute amnesia. And if anything else, they are the ones who should choose of suffering from a combination of AIDS,
And
Ebola and the corona. You man. I wish you were with me here and bat you on the back. I wouldn't beat you.
yeah, he's watching. He's even saying, say hello to the message has gone. Okay.
Let him say hello to us.
He's saying, I am closely following and sipping from the vast pool of knowledge by the law done and senior citizen. Say hi to him.
Really, him?
Yeah, that I should say.
Oh,
hi
I
to
thank
him.
you for recognizing me that I'm a law done and not worse
Then
than
Ebola.
corona, Ebola,
And AIDS.
and the COVID. My brother Antali, your words are addressed to President Museveni and the NRM. And if you know now, we are in a crisis of governance. I'm sure that no man will remind you to say a word or two about it. So having said that, I don't dislike you. But I am very unhappy about Mpuga, the leader of NUPE. By the way, everybody knows I voted the NUPE. I'm not shy to say what I did. The reason I voted for him, I didn't think that he was the best candidate for being a president. But presidents accept advice. Just Museveni used to accept advice from me, and he ruled this country very well then. When he stopped getting advice from people like me, from people like Kanyeihamba, Rugunda, from people like Ruchikere, he started misgoverning this country. A country is not governed by the president, but by a team of his advisors. Today we are not governed by President Museveni. We are governed by a team of advisors who include his brother, his wife, and his son. These are the people governing Uganda, not Museveni, you entirely. The toothless. I think I have said enough to excite this gentleman. So recently I said, Mpuga, I'm told you know him. Mpuga is the so-called leader of the opposition in parliament. He will end up like Nobert Mao, whom now he used to be a friend of mine. I now call him the chairman in the NRM. How can you be, Mr. Ntade, support me? How can you be leader of one of the oldest, I think the oldest party in Uganda, DP, and also be a servant of NRM as a minister, responsible and accountable only to the leader of NRM? Does it make sense to you, my friend? People who are suffering from AIDS and Ebola and the Corona are there, but we are afraid to mention them. Let's see in your next contribution what comment you make about Kanyeihamba, and whether you say, yes, I was addressing President Museveni and the NRM. They are the ones who are suffering from Ebola, Corona, and AIDS. I think I will leave him there.
Yeah, thanks our viewers. The beauty
and yes, since you say he's listening,
yeah, he is.
Let him make a comment on what I have said. I always give everybody a chance to respond.
Okay.
So let him respond to me.
As we continue flowing, definitely I'll take you back to the arguments that we are raised, because when he put that article on social media, there were a variety of comments,
yes,
some pro and some against your against your words.
That's right.
And the issue, one of the issues raised was that, okay, you have not been in Uganda. It's not that you have been in Uganda effective last year. Why didn't you also attack why didn't you also attack the previous leaders of opposition? Because there was Honorable
But I did. I attacked a man. I fought it against him. Museveni, you people. Why are people just parading ignorance? I fought Idi Amin. I am the one who drafted our Moshi resolution to fight Idi Amin and Obote.
This is the concern.
These are the previous leaders.
This is the concern, Prof. They meant that why didn't you address the same concerns to the previous leaders of opposition? Because there was Nandala Mafabi as leader of opposition, there was Winnie Chiza as leader of opposition. There has been, so that was their concern. That why is your hatred, for lack of another word, addressed to Honorable Mpuga, who has just assumed the office simply last year? That is one of the
I have written to him about 3 times. I have met his leader at his house, going there. That is how concerned I am. But Chizabe, what is her name?
Honorable Winnie Chiza.
What have they done that I should crucify them for? Nothing. You cannot say, Mother, I think you are cooking badly, and then you tell me, why don't you crucify your father who doesn't do any cooking?
Mr. Kanyeihamba, You have heard from Professor's word why he criticizes or rather advises Honorable Mpuuga. It's because there is a record that Justice Kanyeihamba has visited the NUP leader.
Yes.
In fact, the NUP leader, Honorable,
has been here
twice in Justice Kanyehamba's home. And in both visits and meetings, Justice Kanyeihamba has advised that, okay, may you kindly also advise the leader of opposition in regards to the paragraphs as mentioned. But also he went ahead to send the very book and communicated to Honorable Mpuuga. That is from him, and they have communicated. So his disappointment is that why hasn't he,
or even responded, no, I think you are wrong, paragraph A is okay. Although it was obtained by corruption and deception, Mpuuga, we ask him now, answer me now, answer through Norman. Paragraph A is okay. Although it forced Museveni to sack Kategaya, his best friend, to sack Amanya, to sack Matembe, and the Bidandisi Sadi, whom we all respect and revere. Mpuuga should tell me, that paragraph is okay.
That's only okay. From the other argument was, which still goes back to you to answer on behalf of the rest that you drafted this constitution. With the Ghanaian constitution, such articles were entrenched, and there was a specific clause that such articles about age, rather term limits, cannot be amended. And to many, that is their concern. Why didn't you?
That is the concern. We entrenched them. Museveni removed the entrenchment illegally, unconstitutionally. I have defeated him twice in the court. Who has dared to take him to court? Me, Kanyeihamba. So defeated him. Don't they know that? Don't they know that he said the rebels of NRM, which included Sech Kubo,
the rebel MPs,
MP, should be removed because they disobeyed his party. I took him to court, and I won. They said in the parliament. Then he reappointed a retired judge, to Benjamin Odochi, to be chief justice again. I took him to court, and I won. How Kanyeihamba am alone? There is a lady from Arua, an MP representing Arua. When I addressed Parliament, which I used to address until Museveni didn't like it, the lady said, if we had 10 Kanyeihambas in this country, we would not be in the troubles we are in. People forget all the good things I have done. This road here, I hope you can show it in social media, is now called Professor Dr. Kanyeihamba Road. Machinde division said we change it to honor one of our greatest son who has done best for this country, and the Uganda. The letter was brought to me, I didn't know what they were doing, by the mayor here. The road was praised by people on social media and everywhere. We are very happy Kanyeihamba has been recognized at last by Uganda. There is a road in Kabale, my previous district, which is called Kanyeihamba by the local people for what I did. There is a hostel called Kanyeihamba, which I built for people. There are two people called George Wilson Kanyeihamba, who are not my relatives, but their parents admired the work I did, and they called them those names. Recently, a senior nurse at one of our hospitals produced a daughter, and I was joking, they say, why don't you call her Georgiana? And if she is a boy, call him George. She and her husband complied, and their daughter is called Georgiana. These are men, Mr. Mpale. This man you are calling worse than Cobra, worse than AIDS, worse for that. Let me tell you what happened one day. I got food poisoning in Kabale when I was still minister with the Kanyeihamba. We were touring the Kabale. I got food poisoning accidentally. It was not given to me deliberately. And when he and Dr. Nkwasile examined me, they abandoned everything and brought me in one car together as doctors to go to be admitted at Mulago, and they pump out that poison. When they arrived in Kampala, they consulted one of their colleagues called Dr. Mugume. Dr. Mugume and them decided, if we take him to hospital, Kanyeihamba will die. We must get a nurse to nurse him here at his house. And we monitor him every day. That's what happened. While I was recovering, I looked like a victim of AIDS. And so the powers that be, I will tell you who, sent a detective to check when I will be dying so that they can replace me as a minister. You vipers of Uganda. God will curse you. Thank you.
Okay, our viewers, we are with Justice Kanyeihamba. I also have this question, which was also sent to us, that for you to clarify. When you were making and drafting this constitution, could you have heard of any caucusing, for example? Because you are saying when the president was given the first drafts and the rest, he would say, proceed, everything is all right. Could it be that he had another caucus that would advise him and say, okay, make them accept that it is okay and leave, for us we know these loopholes that we can amend it alone when they are done?
The NRM caucus was masterminded by Stephen Kabuma, later Deputy Chief Justice, and Amama was the Prime Minister. So they were caucusing. On the issue, for example, of the minimum educational standards for MPs, many of us insisted that an MP should have a degree as the minimum qualification. Mbaba's caucused every week, until people got fed up. And one day he got about 5 people in the caucus, and he persuaded them to remove this minimum qualification of one degree to the equivalent of A level. And then he came, I am glad that the caucus of the NRM has now changed its mind, and we can now say, inserting the constitution, the minimum to be A level or equivalent. Now we know the corruption. We have had illiterate people say they have equivalent A level and they be elected to parliament. If you look at our system, it is lopsided. How do you appoint a judge, a junior judge of the High Court, to be chairman of the Judicial Service Commission, where he will be challenging and supervising the Chief Justice, judges of the Supreme Court, judges of the Court of Appeal? It's ridiculous.
Before we go for a break, we have a minute, in fact even less than a minute to go for a break. And someone asks that on a scale of 10, rate Honorable Mpuga's performance ever since he took leadership as leader of opposition.
On a what?
On a scale of 10, rate Honorable Mpuga's performance and the entire opposition.
He's off the line. He's off the screen. He's below 10. Rather, below 0.
Like seriously?
Yes. Below 0. What has he done? Other than to comply with everything that the NRM does. Is he a leader of the opposition, or is he an agent of the NRM? So that's why I rate him below 0.
I had wanted to go for a break, but you have convinced me to go for a break now, and also ask, why would you put it onto him as an individual alone? Are you rather making him carry this cross because he's the leader of the entire opposition, or him as rather, when you say he is below 0, him alone or the entire opposition in parliament?
No, him alone.
But he doesn't work.
I still respect my friend Chagulanyi. If you are doing badly and they say you are rubbish, that doesn't mean that people who work for alternative are also rubbish.
So it is on
Don't
him
you
alone.
people use logic?
So it's on him alone.
It is him alone.
Gentlemen and ladies, we are coming back in a minute, and this debate will continue. Don't go away.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk.
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Our viewers, thanks for keeping it Alternative Digitalk, and I want to believe that you are learning or unlearning or even relearning from this show, and especially from Justice Kanyeihamba. I want to just dash straight to chapter 4 about the executive powers of the executive, but in particular, people have interest in the qualifications of the president, and that will lead us into a discussion where a one general, Foster now, Muhoozi, has now become an Anirude with his phone, for lack of another word. But here, one of the qualifications for president is a citizen, that a person is not qualified for election as president unless that person is a citizen of Uganda by birth. And I underline the word by birth because in as far as what is trending is concerned, it seems like General Muhoozi wishes himself to have that seat, but also on record, he wasn't born in Uganda. May you kindly clarify on that, and then I take you through a variety of his tweets, and then you respond as an elder of this country. Qualifications for a person to contest as president. A citizen by birth. A citizen of Uganda by birth.
The digital information I have about the history of the birth of General Muhoozi is that both of his parents were Ugandans. So that's very, very important. They were Ugandan citizens at the time he was born.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter in which country you are born in.
So
long as your both parents are Ugandans, you are a Ugandan. That is not arguable.
It's not an issue. Okay. Now that has been cleared, I want to begin with this tweet from who qualifies to be your son by age, literally. General Muhoozi tweets and says, "Let our people not be confused. Jesus Christ, our God, only flows in our blood. In the family of Amos Kaguta," he puts exclamation marks, "those who marry into us can never qualify to say anything except my brother-in-law, Edwin Karujiri."
I suppose that they call it in English a dig. That dig is aimed, knowing their family, at a Babogo. Oh my God. Let me tell you, currently, as a country, we have passed beyond the crisis point. Uganda is no longer governable. And I'll tell you why. Mr. Muhoozi, General Muhoozi, tweeted recently, and nobody has denied it is not his tweet, that the NRM is a useless party and it is not contributing anything anymore to advance the interests of Uganda, or words to that effect. But his father, who is the current president of Uganda, is the co-founder and the lover of the NRM party, which he converted from a movement of the same name. Chigongo has always been quiet. Honorable Chigongo, the deputy chairperson of the NRM. But he was so moved and disturbed by the statement of Muhoozi that in more than a year or so, he said, "I support President Museveni in the next election." I think he was crying. So Muhoozi has forced Chigongo, who is usually elegantly quiet, to speak out. One or two others have joined Chigongo. Therefore, there is a serious and irreparable division in the middle of the heart of the NRM party and its leadership. More than half of the people are silent. A third of them support President Museveni to stand again in 2026. perhaps more than a third of them, including the youth, support General Muhoozi to become the president in 2026. Therefore, the ruling party, the NRM, has been shattered in the middle. And we do not have a united ruling party or a united leadership, because only very recently Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the son of Museveni, some people who wrongly think is grooming him for his successor, which is a pinch of the imagination, in immortal combat politically. They are in mortal combat, meaning you will die eventually, one of them. And the Ugandans, people like Ntale, are diverting attention from that crisis and calling Kanyeihamba, who the people of Uganda has honored by putting a road in his name around here. But they are Ntale's. I think Ntale will eventually, I forgive him. Eventually he will apologize. I have no feeling of illness or whatever before him, because I'm always reminded that don't argue with the fools in case people think you are one of them. So I will not argue with my friend.
Okay. Now, I briefly, these are the most recent 3 of so many tweets, and one of them says, this year, 2022, will be remembered by our children as the year their parents took charge of the destiny of their country. We, the
Pardon?
This is what he says, that this year, 2022, will be remembered by our children. 2022.
22.
Will be remembered by our children as the year their parents took charge of the destiny of their country. We, the so-called Bana, made peace with Rwanda, opened the borders, and defeated ADF. I am glad I belong to Uganda's greatest generation. He goes ahead in another tweet. Muhoozi, we shall jointly, all of us together, create the 6th Republic. The first was Obote 1, the second was Amini, the third was Obote 2, the fourth was Okello, and the fifth was NRM. We will be the 6th Republic, the greatest epoch in our history. And finally, another tweet. I am listening to the outcry of our people for change. I am with the people. Whatever NRM has become certainly does not represent the people of Uganda. That's more
Let me make a comment on one or two of those very strange statements from General Muhoozi. Of course, he means that the generation of his, which does not include his father, is going to be the savior of this country.
Of the problems caused by his father, for lack of another word.
That's what he's saying. Yes. He's saying all the problems we have been caused by the NRM and my father, Museveni. We, the children of these people, former supporters of NRM, we are going to save this country. That's what he's saying.
Does he qualify to offer such alternatives to save the country, in your view, given his...
He hasn't served. You see, he's bombastic, he uses big words, but he himself, I'm sure, is not very sure what they mean. He is a very, I would say, disobedient son. He really is gunning for the mistakes and enjoying them of his father. President Museveni actually, in context with his son, is appearing to be a very cool, angelic man. Not leader, but man. So we are left today in Uganda, where we have to judge between two giants. The giant of Museveni and the self-made giant of his son, Muhoozi. And there is a saying that when two elephants are fighting, it is the grass which suffers. So if you compare us to the grass, we are the ones who will suffer.
As these two giants, the father and the son,
Yes.
as they fight.
That's right. So they are reminding me many sayings. Another saying in the English language is, barking back dogs hardly ever bite.
Are you trying to insinuate that Muhoozi is a barking dog?
Yes. In my own humble judgment, I find it difficult to believe that Muhoozi will become the president of Uganda while Museveni is still alive. No. That's why I disagree with many who think these are tactics by the president to install his son. No way. He has recently arbitrarily nominated his son to become general, promoted him to become general. But we know what Museveni does with the generals. The next step is to retire them.
Yeah, definitely.
As I am arguing, this is not yesterday, no, the day before, on Monday. Long before I called the Chief Justice, Owini Doro. I wanted to advise him on his wrangles with another judge, Justice Chisaki. He was not there. I left a message with the personal assistant and his secretary. Then on Monday I asked him, did you ever give me the message? Because he has not answered me. They say, we gave him the message. The assistant said, I will definitely give him today. He has ignored. You remember when Alternative Digital hosted the launching of my book, Constitutional Law, Public Law, and the Government, we had invited him as one of the honored guests. He agreed to me on phone. He will come and honor the occasion. People like Mama Mbabazi, the former Speaker of Parliament, Jacob Olanya, our guest speaker was none other than P.L. Lumumba, the famous orator and the lawyer of Kenya. They all turned up. The Prince of Ghana, Mona, flew all the way to come and attend that occasion. As I say, Mr. Doro Winye, the Chief Justice, had told me firmly on the phone that he would attend the launch. You remember, Norman, some of the speakers said, my Lord Chief Justice, because they assumed he was there.
Yeah.
He has never explained why he didn't come. In the petition in the Constitutional Court, where he was the Deputy Chief Justice before, he said, how can Ugandans change the Constitution even before the ink in which it is written
Dries up.
in has not dried. You remember that?
Yeah.
Then he proceeded to say,
Supreme Court.
to agree that Museveni
okay to-
should stay there. La, la, la. So I have come to the conclusion. And those people who hate me, like in Tale, will hate me more. And those who love me will agree with me. We must now a campaign that both Chief Justice Doro and the judge he's fighting against permanently should retire or be forced to retire in the public interest. I have recently appeared in another court. I find that we have very, very able, honest, and principled judges in other parts of the judiciary.
That
Any of them
qualify-
could be the Chief Justice,
Okay.
including, in my opinion, the present Chief Justice, Deputy Chief Justice. They could easily become the best Chief Justice we ever had.
Okay.
Not the best. The best we ever had is Muhoozi.
Okay.
He's still alive in his 90s. And when people work out their legal problems in the assumption that Muhoozi or Kanyeihamba will have died by then, they are defying God. And he doesn't like that kind of defiance. So we are still alive.
Okay, I guess with Justice Kanyeihamba, he never ceases to excite
So
all of us.
what I was saying,
Yeah.
it's not because of that he lied to me twice. But there are other accusations against him, which are even more serious. There are other accusations which has leveled at Justice Chisache by the permanent secretary of the judiciary. So in my opinion, staying judges longer than today, they both become a liability to the administration of justice. So we must ask them to retire in the public interest.
Okay, our viewers, we are with Justice Kanyeihamba. We have a few remaining minutes that I want to ask him to also definitely comment, because literally before what is rather catching people's concerns and and followers' concerns, especially in regards to the situation as it is in this country, is the transition, succession, and the rest. So if you were to rate, because I am sure you have been following General Muhoozi's utterances and or conduct here and there, let us work with you, or ask you rather, out of 100%, what do you think he holds as qualifications to be president of this country or succeed his father, whom, in accordance to his tweets, the problems caused by his father can be solved by Muhoozi's generation? Out of 100.
As I told you, his late uncle was a very close friend of mine, Kainerugaba. I was in Entebbe when he died, on the way back coming to Entebbe. It's a very sad story. Because of his family being prominent, he was neglected by the passers-by. They feared to touch him in case they were choosing of killing him themselves. And he died bleeding, trying to get out of the
That is
car.
Muhoozi's uncle.
Yes. Kainerugaba. Sorry.
Yeah, Kainerugaba.
Yes. We went to bury him. We were all in tears because he dared not have died if people didn't hate the governance he was receiving from some of his relatives. And that when they found him, somebody took a photograph. One arm was in the car inside like that. The other one trying to get out. And that's how he died like this. People saw him, they didn't tell him.
So the hatred for the ill governance has been on.
Yes.
So the reason for which Muhoozi's uncle was never rescued from a car accident is because people hated the...
And he died while he was trying to get out. Which means that he was alive for some time, maybe all night. Then he died of cold. He could have been saved. There was a hospital nearby. I get very angry, but it seems it doesn't annoy these people. So what was your question?
Definitely. The question was, if you were to rate him, do you find him with a few qualifications? And if we are to base on 100%, which percentage would he have? Because you already rated Honorable Mpuga, and they are both in the generation.
I have.
So can you also rate Muhoozi's qualifications out of 10, rather out of 10 or out of 100?
I wrote a letter to the Minister of Education, whom I call Honorable Janet Museveni. And I continue calling her that, although some people think they are humoring her when they call First Lady. Museveni said we should never call his wife First Lady. Everybody knows she may not be the first lady he has ever had. And when you say in English, I had him or had her, they know what you mean. So these ignorant reporters in Monitor, in New Vision, they continue calling her First Lady, not knowing that they are really knowing her. Well, at least, unless it has changed, he said, why do you refer to me by my pants, which only my husband knows and has seen? Museveni told us in the first or two cabinets I attended, don't call my wife First Lady. I'm hoping the editor of New Vision and of Monitor, Kalinachi, are listening to me. He said, that is an Americanism. It is you Americans who call the wife of the president First Lady. And he said, therefore, I am distressed when I hear Uganda journalists calling my wife
First Lady
Janet. Then, for me, I continue obeying him. When I was Vice Chancellor of Kampala International University, we were present to present degrees, and we invited Honorable Janet Museveni to be our guest of honor. And the people started calling her First Lady, we praise you. First Lady, for me I said, Honorable Janet. She wrote me a note which is here. And it is published in one of my books, Kanyeihamba, The Incredible, saying, I thank you, Professor Kanyeihamba, for recognizing me for what I am. Other people flattering lay or otherwise call me First Lady in reference to what I am to my husband. You are the only friend, real friend I have here. That letter is published. Anybody reading my book will know it is there, called Kanyeihamba the Incredible. But they continue still, they're calling her First Lady, First Lady, First Lady. The editor of New Vision and of Monitor, they have cancelled my name from their system. They no longer publish anything I say or do. In the case of Museveni, is disappointed. Not Janet,
But the husband.
but the husband.
I want to use these remaining few minutes to go through some comments. But before we read some of these comments, I want to also have your take. The first one is that I know you still have colleagues within the system.
Yes.
What have they shared? Don't mention their names. I'm sure they share a lot in regards to the ambitions of the first son to succeed the president.
I asked one of them, a very senior politician and hard-working minister. I said, why don't you challenge some of the mistakes made by your government? He said, Kanyeihamba, don't you think I wanted to be president of this country? But if I express any opposition to the government's policy, I would be sent into oblivion. Oblivion, I have never been there, you have never been there. But it is a place of at the end of no world. It is not on the record. That is one point. Secondly, you know the registry of the Court of Appeal has been trying to sabotage. First, our petition to protect the right to bail. Secondly, our appeal against Mr. Nzeyi and the Right Honorable Mbamba Mbabazi, who stole and sold to foreigners our bank known as Kigezi Bank of Commerce, only to discover they actually very cleverly and fraudulently sold one which they had told us had replaced Kigezi Bank of Commerce, known as the National Bank of Commerce. That's the one they sold. It no longer exists in our books. Then those friends of mine, I'm sure including a judge or two, didn't like what was happening. So they would always tip me off. Your case is not being heard on another date, but another one here. Let me tell you what has happened to Uganda, my brother. On one occasion, when they all thought I would not be there, Nzeyi was represented by lawyers. Another lawyer actually used my name, my previous practicing name, Max, to defeat me by saying he represents Max. So he would have perhaps said, I am here representing Kanyeihamba and the other parents, as you can see, but I don't agree with him. That would have done the trick. So I turned up. When I was supposed to be in the hospital for a checkup, they were shocked. That lady was sweating blood, who has deceived the court. Then she feared to preside over the scheduling meeting. She asked her colleague, who obviously she had briefed. And when I appeared before anybody else, that man said, what are you doing in my court, Kanyeihamba? I hope this will be a famous court forever. What are you doing in my court, Professor Kanyeihamba? I said, they told me scheduling of our case about where we are suing Nzeyi and the Mama Mbabazi is in this court. Before he could say much, 2 or 3 lawyers entered the same court. He didn't say, what are you doing in my court? He said, welcome, good morning. Another one representing Nzei came. He said, welcome. I kept quiet. Then one of the ladies representing Nzei said, I said, I have not been served with your scheduling notes. She said, this appeal has been going on for some time now. You mean you don't know our address? I was shocked. You mean the case has been going on without my knowledge or my being asked to give the views of the appellant? So I was shocked so much, I wrote to the Deputy Chief Justice.
I am afraid we have few remaining minutes. I
Let me finish here.
Comments.
The Deputy Chief Justice, his reply was very wonderful. And eventually, none of them appeared because they knew I was there. So we are waiting for judgment.
Or notice.
The Chief just said judgment in the case of Kanyeihamba and C20 others and against Nzei and Mbabazi will be given on written notice. Written notice. And also the judgment in the petition against the threat to the right of bail will also given unwritten notice. So we are waiting for judgments. There will be no more hearings or rise in those two cases. Thank you.
Okay. In the remaining minutes, kindly we shall be brief and precise and see if you can respond to them. One of the viewers and followers here by the names of Twesije Lawrence was responding to Namuguzi Intali Rude that Namuguzi knows clearly that Honorable Mpuga was captured by Anita Among. He is now serving the interests of the speaker.
Oh, that's a good information to know. Ntale, are you there? I hope you have listened to that.
Susan Namuga goes ahead also to say that the former leaders of opposition have done totally nothing, that Professor couldn't even waste his time advising them.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam.
And John M. Katz goes ahead also to say one of the best interviews of the year. I think congratulating you for really putting all these ideas on record for purposes of our other followers to follow and also pick a thing or two. As we close, I want to ask you about the for you to ask you to comment on the conduct of Dr. Oledo. Dr. Oledo happens to lead all medical practitioners in the country. With his other colleagues, they were at Kololo and knelt before the president, as in real kneeling, and asked the president to, according to him, to kindly consider their request, and he returns in 2026 as president. As far as I am aware, there has been some information circulating that he has resigned from being leader of the medical practitioners. I think the pressure has been, the pressure has been too much. But also to add, there were rumors that he had been appointed an ambassador, but that cannot be confirmed now. Your comment about such Ugandans who now beg Mr. Museveni at his 80 plus, as you say, to return.
First of all, let me say that the news you have said that he has retired or has been forced to retire is the best news for Ugandan medical profession. I have written a book called The Medical Profession. It's worldwide. If you find his address, I will be glad to send him a complimentary copy.
This very Oledo, the one who knelt, you mean?
That one, yes, okay. That one who knelt. Yes, you see, Jesus said, repent ye, and you shall be forgiven. So I'm using a Christian message of Jesus Christ to send him a book so I can repent. Okay. There is nobody in this country, in their natural senses, who can say that a man who is fighting with his son to govern Uganda should have another term. You need your head examined. And I'm glad this is a doctor. So once he sees my writing, the medical profession, he will be cured. It is a cure.
Our viewers, we have a minute or two. I want to ask Justice Kanyeihamba to say his closing remarks, but also because we are closing the year, we are yet to close the year, and there has been a lot of sequence of events politically. Do you have any comment towards our parliament?
Yes, first of all, I am a committed Christian. And in that capacity, I humbly wish to wish every Ugandan, and in particular our listeners and the viewers, a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Sadly, I have prayed to God, and we should all join the same prayer, that come this Christmas and after, we shall have better governance than we have experienced for the last 20 or so years. I bid you Happy Christmas and a good day. Thank you.
Our viewers, I can't add a word, but also for clarity and also to substantiate more, we will definitely be with him next week Wednesday. So every when we have him before we close the year, we will continue wishing you Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I'll have him next week as well. Do not hesitate. He's one gentleman that is always sober, no matter how harsh your comments or articles are likely to be. He will respond to you vividly, without fear or favor, so as long as it is truth and justice, and and those are his guiding principles. So if Mr. Namuguzi Ntade, I am sure as the day follows night, that the professor has answered to you, and definitely those who are pro MK project you have heard, and those who are pro Museveni's return you have also heard. He has put each one of you in your positions, and you literally do not have any excuses not to either follow, comment, and send as more as you can. We shall definitely read, print them, actually send them to him in advance, and then next week Wednesday we will definitely go through all of them and all the comments. May God bless one, bless all. For God and my country, keep it the alternative.
Thank you.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.